I'm Barbara, and with my husband Bill, we run the pottery in Port Isaac. We've always lived in Port Isaac, and it's a seasonal place, so the winters are quiet, which is lovely, the summers are busy, and we were busy before Martin, but it's just busier now. And we live in the bottom of the village, so it's pretty crowded, but then, you know, we'd soon be complaining if nobody came. They're usually interesting people, they're travellers, they're curious. Inevitably they love Port Isaac because it lives up to what they were expecting. And if they see it on a good day, it's just magical. So everybody we meet goes back with happy memories of what they've seen. A lot of people try to talk to Martin Clunes, and he's incredibly generous with his time. When he's on location, he'll always stop and talk to people and have his photograph taken with them, which is very impressive because there's no sort of two sides to him. And I haven't seen anybody going crazy because Martin fans always seem to be very nice and controlled, and they're just interested. Everybody wants to sit and watch and, you know, see how it goes. But no, I haven't seen any lunatics around. And we've often thought about this, why is it so popular? And I think the main star of the show is the setting. I think the characters are well drawn and acted. Martin Clunes is lovely. He's as nice as you would expect him to be. But I think the main star is the location, because I think if you put the story somewhere else, it would be good, and you couldn't take away from that. But there's just something magical about Port Isaac. Port Isaac is one of those places where if you whiz through it, you just see the surface. But if you slow down and go at the pace of Port Isaac, you start to understand why it is so special. You need to just sit on the beach or on the Platte and watch the world go by. And then you realise that you can see people having conversations, people stop and they talk to you. And if you take the time, Port Isaac is really rewarding because people do have time to talk. And you know, there is a lot to see once you give it the time to look around all the little back streets and the alleys and all the stories behind everything. There are lots of lovely little independent shops and galleries in Port Isaac, and there's a great community of artists and makers in the village, so that's really interesting to go around all the galleries there. And lots of lovely places to eat, all doing yummy home-cooked food, Cornish cream teas especially. Mm-hmm. There is a small heritage centre which shows regular exhibitions of the history of the village, which is really nice because that balances out what you see on the telly, you know, what the history was like here. I think in 10 years' time it will be very, very fondly remembered, and I think people will still come back who are maybe watching the series now, who will go away with happy memories and want to come back just to revisit those memories. But I think Port Isaac, it's always been special. A lot of people come here with their children when they're little, go rock pooling on the beach, and then those children grow up and bring their children. So we see 2, 2nd, 3rd generations of families coming back and bringing their young children.